Hey, hi everyone. This is Fringe Artist coming to you again with another interesting video. This time about internet censorship, especially social media censorship from the likes of Facebook. Facebook has been purging accounts for quite some time now. It's not a new development, but every time they are really trying to push the limits of free speech, limits of constitutional rights, and the ability to articulate one's thought process without worrying about people's backlash and opinions, and without worrying about if speech is politically correct or not. Humans are born free, they deserve to live free. We are not a bunch of tribals who dictate how a person coughs, how a person sneezes, how a person breathes. These are fundamental to our understanding of the human way of life. Unless we are talking about a different species of beings, in which case I would like to reserve my comments. But since we are talking about the human species, and since I'm a member of it, I have every right to talk about this article. So if anybody has any doubts, I think that would have sorted that out. Going past this particular absurdity, the article is from the website zerohedge.com, and they're talking about how Facebook has purged over 800 accounts, mostly prominent conservatives, along with 559 pages and 251 accounts they claim have been spreading misinformation and spam. You see, this is the problem, right? Facebook is acting like the thought police here, trying to police people's thoughts, opinions, viewpoints, and they somehow are sitting on a pedestal and determining whose thought process is legitimate and whose thought process is sanitized enough to be consumed by the masses. And this is where I think there is a strong need for an alternate social media platform, one which rewards content creators and does not put up censorship. I think one social media network, preferably on the blockchain, I think is the future. And it's only a matter of time before companies like Facebook will be disrupted. Mark my words today. But coming back to the article, it talks about how several of these pages were pro-Trump conservatives who had spent years cultivating their followings. I mean, we all know what happened to Alex Jones and his band of people who were pushing a particular narrative and a viewpoint to the people. It was an alternate media outlet, and they were actually pretty close to the truth, and that kind of ruffles people's feathers in Washington. Right, so that again goes to show that if you get too close to the truth, then you will be penalized and punished for it. And today, Facebook has gotten emboldened by that effort, and it has gone on a rampage to ban a few more accounts from the conservative arena, and it's really disturbing. And especially at a time when the midterm elections are around in the United States, the timing is questionable. It is deeply politically motivated. We all know that Democrats and liberals have their supporters even among corporates, and the likes of Facebook and other companies have openly declared their liking for the liberal viewpoint. And that also means that when a corporation and a platform takes up a political point of view, that is the most dangerous thing that can happen in society, because you are only going to peddle a certain viewpoint, which, let's say, 50% of the country doesn't agree with that, right? And this is where a silent dictatorship, an internet dictatorship, starts to emerge. And it doesn't augur well for the future, right? We are getting into a situation where George Orwell in 1984, when he wrote that book about how societies would be transformed to such an extent that human beings will lose all rights and they'll become automatons. So the truth will be a casualty. And this is exactly what has happened. So let's just go through this article further. After 5 years of building fans, Facebook has officially unpublished over our page. So we can't post on it anymore. This is truly an outrage and we are devastated. We will do everything we can to recover our page and fight back. Yeah, I mean, it is loss of pride, it is loss of, a big following for that channel, which has probably taken a lot of effort to build up that following over a period of time with the content that they were offering. And it's pretty bad. It's bad enough. So I don't want to speak further on that. I've been memory hold from Facebook, 350,000 followers, poof, gone. There's a dangerous precedent being set here where the big tech companies have appointed themselves as the gatekeepers of political thought and opinion. Retweet this if you care about free speech. Not only gatekeepers of political thought and opinion, they're gatekeepers of human thought. It's not just political thought, because if you have a certain viewpoint of the world, if you have a certain viewpoint about how you want to conduct your life, if you have a viewpoint on about a certain lifestyle, if you have a viewpoint on what is right and what is wrong in society, I think that is where the liberal thought police are quick to silence you, because the left doesn't understand that the only way for people to coexist in society is for them to debate across the table and agree to disagree or achieve compromises in the process. And that's how our system is also designed. So somehow this is truly a modern form of dictatorship, where tomorrow you will have a situation where if you express openly your point of view in public, you might even be arrested for having a certain viewpoint. Look what is happening in China, right? If you take the example of China and how it is creating this gamified social experience for its citizens, where citizens are scored based on their behaviors online and offline, and it is basically incentivizing a certain viewpoint, a certain thought process, a certain lifestyle, which is extremely dangerous. I think true freedom comes from the ability to allow the person to disagree with you and respect his ability to disagree with you. If we lose that ability as a society, I think it's extremely dangerous for us, because it shows our intolerance to listen to anything other than our own viewpoint. So we want to live in an echo chamber where we keep listening to people, mingling with people who have similar points of view, but we just can't stand the other side. And it's rather regrettable that this is happening. So let's move on. So then we have Facebook claims that domestic actors have been creating fake pages and accounts to attract people with shocking political news. Yeah, I mean, you can make all these excuses for your actions, but it never is convincing. It doesn't explain anything. It just goes to show how biased and bigoted you are as a corporation. And it goes on to say the people behind the activity also post the same clickbait posts in dozens of Facebook groups, often hundreds of times in a short period, to drum up traffic for their websites. They often use, so who doesn't do it? I mean, why single out a bunch of accounts when the whole Facebook community is into this? They are doing everything that you are saying, right? Posting in hundreds of groups. Of course, that is what people do all the time. That's how they spread the word. So what is so wrong with that? If a liberal group did it, probably they would pass off as something that is acceptable. But when a conservative does that, it is somehow deplorable, and it's dangerous, and it should be silenced without further ado. So when you know in your conscience that something is wrong, no matter how hard culture comes knocking at you, if you go against your conscience, you have defeated the purpose for which you have been born on this planet. So the day you go against your conscience and embrace culture, that's the day humanity has ended. So I think it's a tipping point for us. We are at crossroads today. It's really not only a war of views, a war between thought processes. It's a war between your own conscience and what your conscience says and what culture keeps knocking at you. So, and culture most times is wrong because it is framed by certain people who make something look cool and sexy, and then it gains a life of its own. But then in the long run, people understand that these things actually cause more harm than good. So moving on. Some pages Facebook removed had large followings of real and fake accounts. well, you can go on and on about it, but basically it's politically motivated. So here are the bunch of channels. So what they're also claiming is that along with conservative channels, they've also banned certain channels which had liberal viewpoints, who are probably against the Trump administration as well. For example, they talk about this group called Reasonable People Unite, which posted a screenshot of a Twitter user who said, somewhere in America, a teenage girl is listening to her parents defend Brett Kavanaugh and she is terrified about it and all of that. So they're trying to make it look like, along with maybe a bunch of conservative accounts that we banned, we also banned a few liberal accounts as well, just to make it look like it is balanced and not politically motivated. So, I mean, they're experts in this game of skewing public opinion. So they always have a retort and say that, look, we are not just banning conservative viewpoints, we are banning all viewpoints, irrespective of their political leanings, more in the interest of our audiences. I think Facebook, I, I, I want to really ask a question to the audience, and please answer this question in the comment section. Will Facebook exist in the next 5 years? So the question is, will Facebook exist in the next 5 years? I want to hear from you. I don't want to bias your understanding of it. So yeah, so it also goes on to talk about other prominent conservatives who have been banned apart from Alex Jones. So it's not a good picture at all. And they talk about how the digital nanny state strikes again. So just imagine when a conservative administration is in power, these guys are flaunting their bias and prejudice. Just imagine what will happen if the Democrats come back to power in the US. I think all hell will break loose in the world. So I think I am hoping and praying that they don't come back to power, because corporations like Facebook will only get emboldened over time. And it's important that the Trump administration takes action on these corporations and sets boundaries on their behavior. I don't know how it can be done, but the time has come to legislate this kind of behavior. All right, thanks a lot for your time. And if you like this video, if you have a viewpoint, please feel free to comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thought processes. You may disagree with me, but I'm not going to ban your comment unless, of course, the comment is very abusive and doesn't address the moot point or doesn't address the core issue. So I look forward to viewpoints and keep them coming. All right, so thanks a lot for watching and bye-bye.
Tell me pretty lies, look me in the face. Tell me that you love me, even if it's fake.